Okay, this is Armani. This is my assignment for EXE 402, and I'm a part of the group with Levi, Tyler Welty, and Aaron Black, and we're looking at the comparison between muscle activation and velocity between different deadlift variations, trap bar and straight bar, and a vertical jump. And so one of the tests we're using for this is the Pearson's correlation test, which is a great way of finding if things correlate or not, meaning if they're related, meaning if there's one variable affect another. And here on my little paragraph I have is the Pearson's correlation test. So the R value is the most common way of measuring if two things are linear, which means they're going up in a positive direction. And so you'll get a number, and if it's closer to -1 or 1, that'll determine if it's positive or negative. Or if one variable tends to increase as the other one decrease, then that means it's negative. And if one increases and the other one increases or stays the same, that can have an effect to where it's positive. So I would say this test is perfect for our study because we're looking at which deadlift variation will be best for the vertical jump and athletic performance, and which one is similar to that position in muscle activation. So using this correlation test will give us a very detailed description of correlation. For example, if you find a correlation that straight bar deadlift does not decrease as far as in correlations, like the numbers are negative. So if you find a negative correlation compared to the jump velocity or the jump activation, that'll help in future reference, and that'll help when athletes are trying to figure out which deadlift to do. That'll help translate to athletic performance. So I feel like this is why the Pearson's correlation test is the best. And so yep, like I said, during this test we used the program Jamovi to do our statistical analysis. And so I'm gonna scroll up. And so we had a total of 21 subjects. As you can see here on the statistics, the average height was 71.7 inches, centimeters, I'm sorry, 71.7 centimeters. And the weight was 194 pounds. The age was about 20. And so this is actually pretty interesting, which I'd say these numbers are pretty high. The average straight bar deadlift was 330, and the average trap bar deadlift was 350. During our study, we found that more people could load more weight on the trap bar compared to the straight bar, which I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, and it's another interesting to see that both medians are 340. I think that's very interesting. We had some strong guys, so our max, I think this might have been the same guy. Our max was for straight bar was 500, and for trap bar was 550. This is estimated. And our minimum was 130 and 145. So the deadlifts are, I'd say, relatively pretty similar as far as everything statistics and descriptives wise. So during this study, we only found one thing to be statistically significant, and this was using, as you can see right here, this correlation matrix. This was the straight bar deadlift, rectus femoris EMG activity, compared to the vertical jump rectus femoris EMG peak. This is significant because if you look at the p-value, so p-value less than 0.05 shows that it's most likely statistically significant. And then the R value matches up too. So I thought this was interesting because before I had the notion of, trap bar looks like you're jumping. Whereas straight bar, I feel like you're not. I feel like you're kind of leaned over. But according to this result and according to our study, out of all of them, out of all the variations, I mean, we tested biceps femoris to biceps femoris jumps. We tested vert velocity when deadlifting to vert velocity and jumping. And we only found one. and it was the straight bar deadlift, rectus femoris, and the vertical jump rectus femoris. So I would say for this, you could use this as an example. If an athlete is trying to jump higher or the trying to get the muscles worked in the jump when lifting weights, I would tell that athlete to do a straight bar deadlift, because obviously we see here with the results that if you use a straight bar deadlift, it activates your rectus femoris, your quad muscle, similarly to where you're jumping. And I think that's pretty cool when looking at this study and using this Jamovi technology. I thought it was awesome using it. And I think more studies like this and should be paired with this type of technology, because it helps out and it makes doing the math and everything else so much easier. For this study, we didn't have an effect size because we're doing a correlation. We did not have an effect size. So some limitations that I found in this study were that we required that you just had to be in the, lifting for a year, whereas some of these guys had, well, one person really never deadlifted, and some of these guys, like, they were athletes, they were in the gym working out, but they never deadlifted because it didn't have anything to do with their sport. So a limitation I found is if we make sure, like, like, hey, you're doing some type of form of the deadlift, or you're RDLing or something closely related to the deadlift you're doing, I feel like that would help our study even more, because I feel like those outliers were like, I've never deadlifted, or I haven't deadlifted in like 5 years because I don't need to. I feel like that is a big limitation in our study. An outlier I found was just some people just not really loading up weight, or yeah, like I said, not really deadlifting. So if they don't deadlift, they don't know their max, and if they don't have an estimate of their max, then it can be an outlier with just everything, active EMG activation. I know another one was sometimes our equipment wasn't working. The EMG Bluetooth technology sometimes wasn't working, wasn't picking up enough electricity within the muscles and signals. And then so during this study, we changed the way we placed our electrodes, like mid-study, because of some of the technology issues we were having. So I feel like that could be an outlier. Maybe we got correct numbers or better numbers when we changed than before. I feel like that's a huge outlier when doing our study. Yeah, and I felt like this was a great study. I loved every second of it. I think it's pretty cool to find out that straight bar rectus femoris activation is pretty similar in the deadlift as to the jump. And thank you.